Ready. I just have to remember. Okay, well, great. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is Franz, Sidney speaking, and we're in a special episode today. We are going to talk to Alex. How do I call your name? Alejandra? Alex?
So it's Alejandria, but because it's a little bit difficult to pronounce, I go by Alex just to make it a lot easier.
All right, that's perfect. So, and where are you based?
I am in Arizona, USA.
Right, Arizona to the UK, guys. We did a special video today with Alex, and we're going to talk about body dysmorphia, disorder, and so dysmorphia. And so what happens is we're gonna BDD. It's BDD, guys. You know what it is? When you think that your body or a part of your body looks absolutely wrong and out of place, and you have to do something about this. It's a kind of OCD, yeah. And you take extreme action because you are so worried about this. Now, we talked a little bit about this in one of my episodes a couple of months ago. And there is so much to talk about. So it's so good to go back and talk to somebody who's actually a survivor and went through and came out winner on the other end. And that's why I'm so pleased to have Alex with us. So we can talk together about how you go into this and what this means for us. What does it mean to have this something that we can't even pronounce? You know, what is this morphe? You know, the morphos, the shape. What's wrong with me? What about my nose? What about my hair? What is it? What's happening in the brain? So maybe we can spend the first 10 minutes when you introduce how this happened to you.
Oh, absolutely. So as far as the cause of what happens, there's a lot of different causes that may happen to create body dysmorphia. But what it is a preoccupation with a certain body aspect. Now, the thing is that you might see somebody else that has what you deem as a flaw, and they have no issues with it. But when you're experiencing body dysmorphia, you are preoccupied on that particular aspect of your appearance. And it becomes so ingrained and such a focus that it takes up all of your time. So it's very closely related to OCD because people will start to do things like checking mirrors, they avoid mirrors. They do a lot of things like camouflaging to hide their appearance or wear a lot of makeup. Cosmetic surgery happens a lot with body dysmorphia, where we're trying to fix an issue that we think it's only going to be fixed by changing our appearance, but it's a psychological attachment that we have to the appearance. A lot of times it could happen through bullying. It could happen through an experience. You see it a lot with a little bit of trauma that happens with it. So yeah, a lot of different aspects, but it takes up a lot of people's time and energy because they don't feel comfortable with their appearance.
Yeah, it is. And I was reading that there is a 43% inheritability. So you can actually have it passed from generation to generation from your genes, this tendency to focus so much on one aspect of your body that you don't like. So there's a lot, and there was, I don't know if you know of a Huberman lab, which is Andrew Huberman is a neuroscientist and ophthalmologist, and he talks. He's got like a couple of million followers on YouTube. He's a scientist, and he talks about many things about science. And recently, he talked about OCD, and because this is a type of OCD, he said that some of the OCDs actually are caused by some very specific type of misfiring of neurons in the brain because of setup. So biochemical imbalances for sure. And yeah, he was talking about GABA and all sorts of supplements and things. So it was interesting to see the scientific point of view and see how many things we can have: environmental, cultural, and trauma, emotional perception, the culture around us. I talked a lot about the influence of media on this, so we can talk about that. But what do you think is what's the difference then? What do people think about BDD that is actually not quite correct?
So a lot of people assume that BDD is about vanity. They think that the person is preoccupied on their appearance because they want to look a certain way, or they want to be famous or be sought after. But in actuality, it's not just about vanity. Of course, we all want to look good. We all have those days when we wake up and we're just like not feeling our best, and we look at our flaws or what we want to fix. But if that fixation turns into hours of getting ready, into taking up your time, then that's where the issue is. Unfortunately, with social media, and you have all these filters, ads agencies, when you think about the fact that you are seeing ads where you're selling a hamburger, and you have to have this female that has this body that it's almost unattainable for a lot of people, and so it becomes a circular, because you think that this is the way we're supposed to look. In social media, with the filters, we have this conception that this is what people are supposed to look like, but not even those people look like that, and
No.
so it can be quite
Unless,
an issue.
yeah, even so, if they do look like that, other were stunning individuals, but most of them had so much surgery, or they did so much exercise, and deformities are created through surgery nowadays. So you look very different. And also the arts don't help, because I'm in many forums for illustration. When you see this anime manga thing and all the Japanese things, they show these women, they look like 10-year-olds, 12-year-olds with these enormous endowments. And you think, oh, I have to look like that to be nice. And you see women always very much like objects. They have to look like a young girl, but they have to look very sexy. So they have to be very thin here, very wide there, and then thin here. So it's like an hourglass. And normal people don't look like that. So it makes you feel like, oh, I can never be as this unattainable figure that
Yes.
actually doesn't exist at all. It's, it was just an illustration that now people are thinking is actually, we can't be a Barbie, can we? But the important thing is that you actually have been through this. So you were a first person, a witness to feel how it feels and to get out of it. So I wanted to see, how did this start with you? You must have been quite young, because you're very young now. So
Thank you. I'm 43, but yes, I actually started to develop. It's the lighting. I actually started to develop symptoms of body dysmorphia as an early teenager. I was mortified. And when I say mortified, I mean mortified of being overweight. So what I started to do is to restrict my diet to a degree that was actually not healthy. And I was working out 2.5 hours a day at times. There was this one particular, I was waitressing when I was in my early teens, and I worked a 12-hour shift. And after, I was so tired, and it was on a Sunday, so super busy. And when I got home, I was exhausted. I went to bed. I could not sleep, because in my mind, I was like, well, you didn't work out. Because to me, working out is getting on a bicycle and, doing weightlifting or anything. So I got up from bed so that I could work out, because it was that much ingrained in my mind, right? And so you actually develop a lot of those cycles. You're doing everything you possibly can to have the physique that you want. You actually also see this a lot with men in bodybuilding. So we have muscle dysmorphia, which is like a subcategory of body dysmorphia. And unfortunately, these men are very built, but they don't see themselves as built. They see themselves very thin. So you actually see a lot of movie stars and a lot of bodybuilders that are abusing their body and using steroids or other things that can cause more harm. And they're not even happy with the way that they look. We don't see what, everybody else is seeing. So it can be a vicious cycle. And in my early 20s, I had deep depression, and I had a lot of issues that happened. And so I went from working out fanatically to I'm not working out because I'm deep depression. So I gained weight, and that's when my body dysmorphia just really took off because now I'm being triggered about my appearance. Now, this is when I started to camouflage my appearance. I had 2 cosmetic surgeries, weight loss surgery and another cosmetic surgery, just to try to fix and feel comfortable with my appearance. Went to therapy to help, to get help with the issues that I was struggling with. But in my mind, I never thought that you can fix body dysmorphia by treating it in therapy, because I was like, it's about appearance. If I'm going to feel confident and comfortable in myself, I have to fix my appearance, right? And so what I found out that it's not the case, because even after I had my weight loss surgery and I lost 60 plus pounds, I felt better. I couldn't even see the differences. There were times in the mirror where I would pass by a mirror where I wasn't expecting there to be a mirror, and I wouldn't recognize myself. Like, literally would not recognize myself.
Yeah, they
It's
do say in the literature that is, even when people have surgery, they don't really see, they may even have damaged themselves. It was extreme surgery sometimes, but they can't see any improvement.
Mhm. And that's the unfortunate part of it. This is why you get a lot of people that just overdo cosmetic surgery, because they're trying to fix this, what they deem as a flaw, and they can't get it right because in their mind, they're still holding on to that emotional attachment. So you do see a lot of that. So I never thought that we would be able to fix this with therapy. And I was able to when I found conversational hypnotherapy, which is amazing, because I can tell you that even in my early 20s, when I was teens, when I was at my most fit, when I had the body that I thought I needed to have, I still felt uncomfortable about going out. I still felt self-conscious. I still felt that people were judging me. I still felt not good enough. There's this one picture. Yeah, there's this one picture that I have where I look so skinny, and I thought I looked overweight. And now I look back and I'm just like, what was I thinking? And it's because of that dysmorphia that you don't see it. After treating it, detaching that emotional attachment to my appearance and healing a lot of, because I did get bullied over my appearance when I gained weight. I literally would have people come up to me and say, what is wrong with you? Why did you gain weight? Thanks. Yeah. And so, yeah. And so
Diplomacy, guys, diplomacy here.
right. It doesn't seem to be, though. And that's the thing, because it's so normalized for us to comment on people's appearance. You see a family member. How many times does it happen when you see a family member and first thing they comment is your looks? And that's very normalized. But the problem is that if you are struggling with body image issues, that can be quite triggering. So somebody that has, say weight issues, and they feel very uncomfortable about it, if the very first comment that comes out of somebody you haven't seen in a while, or just somebody that you're seeing, is their weight, is just going to trigger that up. So yeah. And so this is the uncomfortable part about it. It's become normalized to comment about people's appearance, but it shouldn't be. And yeah.
Yeah. So you were talking about how conversational hypnotherapy was playing a very important role in your recovery. So what are the techniques, what are the exercises that you use with your practitioner? What happened? Tell us all. We're very
Yes,
interested.
absolutely. So the one thing, like I said, I went to therapy for many years to basically heal a lot of the issues that caused my body dysmorphia, but also other issues in my life. And so with hypnotherapy, especially conversational hypnotherapy, which is what I practice now, we're able to get to the root issues of what created it in the first place. Why was it attached? And then able to heal from it. I also practice a lot of grounding techniques if I feel that my mind is spinning, where I start thinking about a negative thoughts, say about my appearance. I try to calm down, do a lot of breathing exercises to reset the mind and the body so that I'm not giving in to the cycles. Because unfortunately, what happens is that our subconscious mind creates an emotional attachment. So you get used to those attachments, whether they're healthy or not. This is why we have addictions. Somebody that picks up a cigarette is not thinking, this is the best thing for me. This is going to make me healthy. No, they're stuck in that cycle because of the addiction, right? And so with body dysmorphia, what I've come to find out for myself and for my clients is that it's that emotional attachment. Once you release that, you're able to walk away. And it's not one of those things like, what was the one movie with Jack Black and Gwyneth Paltrow, where Tony Robbins does the hypnosis and tells them, like, you're only going to see the heart and you're not going to see, what's at the outside. And so he sees Gwyneth Paltrow completely different. Do you remember this movie I'm talking about?
No, because I'm terrible with movie titles and everything, but I get it. Yeah, you want to see what, yeah.
Yeah, so in this movie, Tony Robbins tells Jack Black, like, hey, you're going to see the beauty of the inside, so that what he's seeing outside is very different. It doesn't work that way with hypnotherapy. There's nothing that I can do to change my appearance or the perception of other people. It's about how you feel with yourself. So what I'm trying to say with all of that is that I still see my flaws. I still see the things that I don't like. But before, it was keeping me in a negative state, feeling bad about myself, where now it's just like, okay, if I decide to work on that aspect, I can, but it's no longer keeping me there. It's no longer making me feel like I am less of a person or deserve less because I don't have this body that, in society we should be having, or that flat stomach, or, no wrinkles. It's just, I'm getting older and, things happen in our bodies. So I'm grateful for my body now, not resentful.
Excuse me.
No, you're fine.
I had to clear my voice because it's very dry today. So that's great. So conversational hypnosis, so that means you're not going into a trance, you're not with closed eyes, but you're talking to a practitioner and they're firing the correct questions to make you go into this unconscious moment. And then slowly the truth emerges and you realize. So let's say that I have a friend and this friend has the problem of BDD. How do I support this person knowing what I know about it?
Mm-hmm. So the best way to support, and one of the things that we like to do is, okay, so you have a friend that has the issue with body dysmorphia. One of the symptoms or one of the characteristics is that they may want validation. So this is when they start asking, how do I look? Do I look fine? Is my clothes okay? Is my weight okay? That validation is keeping them in a cycle. And if you validate, no, you look fine, you're saying to their subconscious mind is, you think there is an issue, there probably is an issue, and you're kind of giving into that. So the best thing to do is recognize their feelings, because their emotions and what they're feeling are real. What they're experiencing is real. So if somebody comes to you and says, hey, I'm not feeling well about my appearance, so I'm feeling self-conscious, is I understand that you're struggling right now. How can I best support your emotions, not so much their appearance? Because if we just validate their appearance, we're giving into the BDD, because it's just looking for that validation.
Never thought about this validation point. That makes actually a lot of sense. So if I were on my own at home and I was listening to you and say, yeah, I got it, but I really don't have time to go and see a therapist, I don't have any money. Is there any way that a person could start tackling that on their own?
Absolutely. So one of the things is when you catch yourself in that cycle. So say you're cleaning the house and out of nowhere you have that feeling or that thought comes in that, you feel negative about your appearance. Try to separate yourself from continuing the cycle. So first thing to do is, for me, is to, again, do breathing exercises to reset, to get out of that cycle. Change what you're doing at the moment. Don't give in to the cycle. So a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll start looking at procedures. They'll start looking at, what can I do to fix this? Don't give in to that. The next thing to do is see what happened right before those thoughts came through, because that's a trigger. So something that happened right before is what's triggering them. So kind of keep in mind of that. If it was they're on social media and they're following what this person, the perfect body that they want to have. And so they're getting inspired. And we do this a lot, it's like, get inspiration, and that's a good thing. It's just how far do we take it, right? And so if you get triggered by looking at those photos, then kind of stop doing those things, kind of take a step back and don't allow those triggers. If it was a comment that somebody said to you, something about your appearance that triggered those negative feelings and thoughts, then address it, set boundaries. It is okay to tell a family member, a friend, or, someone you're close to, if they're constantly making comments about your appearance, to say, hey, my body is not a topic of conversation, that keep your mind safe, your emotions safe. So look for those triggers, reset the body by doing exercises, breathing exercises or meditation, and then divert the thoughts by doing something that you enjoy that has nothing to do with the trigger or what you feel unconscious about.
I get it. So this diversion is very important. So instead of focusing on the problem, you get your attention to something else, because our mind cannot really focus on two things at the same time, because it's impossible. We can only do a bit of this, a bit of that. But if we just change a topic, and I keep hitting this, then the mind cannot remember. And eventually we are breaking those circuits that are very strong because we are repeating something else. And I think you're quite right. You reminded me a little bit about this trigger. Because I remember I studied a little bit about smoking and nicotine addiction, etc. Because I treated quite a few people who wanted to stop smoking. And one of the things that they tell you is, don't wait until you desire a cigarette. You have to look for the trigger and anticipate the trigger. No, I just had a long day at work and I'm very stressed. I'm going to get home. The first thing I'm going to do is get a cigarette or get a drink. So it works with everything, doesn't it? Get a Coke or get a cake. It's this automatic thing. We're trying to soothe an uncomfortable feeling. So if we identify the trigger and we say, okay, what can I do when I am about to be in that situation? And that gives you the power in knowing, okay, when I feel like this, I can do that. And you're literally going to rewire your brain, because you're now giving a third option instead of always falling into the thing. I always say, if you keep walking in the mud in the same direction all the time in your garden, and I know because it's been raining a lot here, you're going to have like a ditch inside. You're going to be walking on this, and then it's just going to be easy to, if you throw a ball, it's going to go there because the path is made, isn't it? Yes. And so the brain, very roughly, with all these neurons and synapses and this space between neurons, it works like that. So the more we repeat this trail of thoughts, that every time we have this situation, we trigger, we do this action. So the X trigger gets to do this action. And every time when we have a sense of guilt, and then maybe we do it again because we feel guilty. So we have to think, that's the trigger. What is the action that we're going to do? Instead of X, what can we do? So we change that. Yes. And the brain goes like, hey, what's going on here?
Well, not only that, it's also saying what's going on here, but it's also waiting for that emotional dopamine. Because at the end of the day, whether it's a positive emotion or a negative emotion, it's expecting that emotion. So when you have a negative trigger, even if it doesn't feel good, you're still releasing dopamine. You're still releasing those chemicals that your body's gotten used to. So it says it is 5:30 in the afternoon. About this time, we get on the car and we start feeling stressed out because of traffic. And oh my God, was it a long day? So you start going into those automatic responses, and the emotion of it was a long day, and the traffic and what you're used to just continues to pile on. And by the time you realize, you're just doing things and feeling things that you are not needing to or wanting to. It just becomes automatic.
It is automatic, and that's the subconscious mind, this, the sum of all the actions that we do without even thinking, because it's automatic. I get home, I close the door, lock the car, throw the keys. It's automatic. We don't even think. I drive to a place, in my grocery store, the car gets me there. I don't even know how I got there. It's automatic. The mind takes care of it because the brain wants to be efficient and fast, and that's what is easier. So this is all about, you can see something and you think is wrong. You don't see in the mirror what you actually see. And I treated one lady with body dysmorphia during my RTT training years ago, and a German lady, and she did not own a mirror because she could not look at herself, but she bought one after my session. She bought it. She never looked.
Yeah.
And we started years before when her dad gave her a Barbie and she was like 14. And then he gave her, I think, a pair of jeans as a gift from a trip. And the pair of jeans were like 3 sizes smaller than she is. And she started to detach literally herself from the person that she was and thinking, well, that's not me, that's not me. And eventually she couldn't look at her body. She was a bundle of nerves. And I don't know what happened because I lost track after all these years, as it happens, right? But this is so widespread, this negative perception of who we are and what we look like. So in our community, there's a widespread hate for our body. We all want a different body. I don't know why everybody wants to be somebody else. If we are fat, we want to be thin. We are thin, we want to be fat. We are muscular, we want to be flat. If we are flat, we're just not happy. If you have red hair, you want black hair. So is there something that we could do to promote a more positive view of a body we were given when we were born?
From what I experience and then with clients, what I feel that we can do to promote that is to be present and to not hide back and, appreciate ourselves and our bodies. I think that if we show up, as who we are, it's going to start to change that. And I've actually started to notice this a lot in TV shows. I don't know if you remember like TV shows from like the 1990s, the 2000s, you have these high school filled with like perfectly looking high school students, like their bodies were perfect, their face were perfect. And that's all you saw. That's what you think it's right. And so oh my God. Yeah. So you don't,
Pamela.
Yes. So you don't feel that you can relate or that you can measure up. I love the fact that nowadays I am noticing in movies and in TV shows that they're doing more exclusivity, where it's like different body shapes, like the love interest in the main movie, it doesn't have to have this perfect body, perfect hair. She looks just like anybody else because we're all deserving to be the main character, in our own movie and in movies and show up. So I am noticing that change. As far as for ourselves, I think like in social media, show your true self in order to feel comfortable with who you are without hiding behind filters. I don't think that filters are the cause of body dysmorphia, but if it's affecting you, where you take a picture with a filter and you start to feel better with a filter, what's going to happen is that in real life, you're going to feel very uncomfortable with yourself. I don't know if you know this, but like a few years ago when Snapchat came, huge, people were going in to get surgeries to look like their Snapchat filters, like getting their eyes bigger, their noses changed. They wanted to do all of these changes because they wanted to look like the filter. So so come to, be yourself, show yourself authentically, and this way you can appreciate yourself for who you are. And I think that's where we're going to start making those changes.
Yeah. Thanks. I mean, Alex, I was reading before about BDD in Wikipedia, and I thought maybe there's something I don't know about this. And they were saying one psychiatrist was talking about the TikTok BDD because it came from TikTok. People wanted to look like. So there is something there about maybe the fact that we might be glued to social media, especially ladies, for far too long and looking at these photographs and thinking, and you see in dating site or in singles group, some people say, hello, here I am, I'm Jenny, I'm from Arizona. And you look at the picture, you can't even tell what she looks like because a huge amount of filters and makeup. And you're like, Jenny, when a guy texts you and wants to go out with you and he sees that filter, he thinks that's a person. But when you're going to meet in person, there is a huge difference. And you want this guy to fall in love with your real face. And so we're not doing a favor to ourselves if we try to change it, because I don't think that anybody could actually fall in love with a person that looks like the Simpson or Barbie. We want a person because we have a personality and education, interest. We have a sense of humor. We are kind. It's not about the skin is perfect or the hair is blonde. And yet that's what we see in the media. So maybe my point of view, guys, is that we should push the media so they stop showing us. And you know what they say, we should take off messages of misinformation. Well, why don't we take down all these pictures when they show women in atrocious looks and attires and things with everything out that shouldn't be there, and with these faces they've been completely deformed. Think about the poor Madonna, who was the most beautiful girl 30 years ago, but now so much disfigurement. Just accept yourself that you're gonna have to be old, and some parts of your body won't be the same. Be gentle with the surgery, but they think that they have to look like something. And our society is pushing women, so we are not allowed to age. We can't age. We're not allowed because
this is very common, and it shouldn't be. I am seeing the changes, little by little, and I think it's more as we bring out awareness of like how badly this affects not just us, but people overall, and how that image can really distort. I mean, there are people that don't want to leave the house. I had a client recently that she did not want to leave the house. She did not want to take pictures. And it's very unfortunate because she's missing out on life. She's missing out on experiences over what somebody else might think about her appearance. And that is so unfair. That is so unfair. So it's bringing out the awareness, working on ourselves, and, being really aware. Do we want that change? Do we really want to stop feeling this way? And if so, what can we do about it?
Yeah. Just a couple of days ago, I had a consultation with a lady, very young, not even 30, and anxiety, panic attacks, all started young. Lots of episodes of things, family. But one of the things was when this person went to do radio work, television work, she was told, oh, you need fillers, you need this, you need Botox, we need this and that. I can tell you, I saw her. She's like absolutely stunning. Stunning. She got this perfect face with a lovely dimples. She was told, oh, you have to lose weight, you have to do this, the agent shredder. And then her panic attacks really went. And now she's on psychiatric medications of all sorts. I can't think of a word. And she hasn't been out of the house for years now because, lockdown and everything, because she cannot be left alone 2 minutes now. And this is what we're doing to people when we make comments about their body and rude comments as well. We're not talking about health. Maybe you are talking to your daughter. Maybe your daughter is morbidly obese and you say, well, how about we walk in the park so we can shed a little bit of this weight? Okay. But going to somebody and really tell them, they are perfect, absolutely perfect, and you tell them they need to lose weight. I mean, I read so much about anorexia and bulimia, and so many people who you would never believe, but they suffer from it because the society is telling them they have to be thin, really thin. And there's nothing wrong with being slender if you are. I'm naturally slender, so yay. But sometimes it's not your normal body shape. Sometimes you are more robust and you just find it really, really difficult to shed this weight, and you can't be this ideal. But what is ideal? And that's something that probably crossed your mind. So let's pretend that you go back from 40 years old back to when you were 20, 13. You know so much now. And you can talk to yourself, as we do in an RTT, we talk to the inner child. What would you say to the young Alex to take her off this grasp of BDD?
I would say it's not that important. I spent too many years worried about how I looked. I spent too many years not doing things that I wanted to do. I didn't go on vacations a few times. I didn't go to a wedding because I felt ashamed about my weight. I missed out on so many experiences. And I thought that it was this huge mountain that I had to get over just to be happy. And at the end of the day, it's not important. You know, what's important is that you're happy with yourself. What's important is that you're healthy, you know, because there's this stereotype that in order to be healthy, you have to meet all these criteria, but what fits one person doesn't fit the other. Do you know what I mean? So even if a person is overweight, it doesn't mean that they're unhealthy. Their body chemistry could be just fine. Their body could be functioning just fine. But if it's that triggering that you have to look a certain way, then that's where that issue is. Stay focused in your health, stay focused in your balance, and not let it take over the way that I allowed it to take over. And it was not on purpose. It's just what I thought I needed to do. So my advice to myself is it's not that important. Like, don't worry about it. It's just, it really isn't, you know, it's like, why? For somebody else? I'm gonna like stop doing things just so somebody else can say, yeah, you look good or you look pretty. No.
Yeah. You know what? You reminded me, I shouldn't tell this story because it's long, but yeah. There was this, I think it was like one of these fake stories where, like, let's say Leonardo, Michelangelo type of very good sculpture, one day said, okay, guys, I'm making a sculpture of like a David of Michelangelo. Yeah, very beautiful guy. So I'm doing the sculpture here. I'm working with a chisel and scalpel. And you guys, the public, you tell me, what should I do to make this look beautiful? So they said, make this like that, change the neck piece, change it. And eventually, when the thing was finished, it looked like a monster. It was interesting because to please them, he created something that was not really beautiful. And I think we all can be the David of Michelangelo or Donatello, there too. And we can all be our own beauty or our own beautiful sculpture, right? We can be beautiful because we have a beautiful soul inside and our joy of living and whatever. And I always find out after a few minutes of talking to people, I cannot even remember what we look like. All I remember is the words they say and how I felt when I was in their presence. So it is important to remember this. So just drop those medias all the time. Just stop looking all the time. And if you have to take an hour to get ready, an hour to put things on your face, to do something, think about who are you doing this for? Who are you doing this for? Because maybe a lot of people won't even notice all this, and they would rather see you as you are pretty much. You know, I know we all want to look good. That's fine. I wouldn't come here with a hair all here. That's fine. But there's the limit when we have to say, well, maybe I'm doing too much. And yeah, I want to. Is that why you got into working with body dysmorphia? Is it because you were, and then you said, right, I want to help people?
Yeah, no, so absolutely. So I first started doing hypnotherapy because I wanted to help a lot of different aspects. But when it actually helped me cure my body dysmorphia, it was like, whoa, I had no idea that this was possible. And because of the way that I struggled and what I went through in my life, I want to help other people, you know, experience the same type of, you know, life, you know, where you don't have to live, like you said, keep walking around and creating this, you know, road that's the only road you're on. You know, you can remove yourself from that and live and have a different experience. So it definitely inspired me. This is literally why I do what I do, because I want to help people. Because I know what it feels like, and it's not fun. It really isn't. Yeah.
There is this huge difference, isn't it? I want to finish with this and think about this aspect. We always think that the solution of our problems is outside. So if I just have black hair instead of gray hair, if I have a bigger endowment, if my muscles are bigger, if I were taller, thinner, if I had something different in my body, if I cut off something because, you know, too big, too small, it's not there, shouldn't be there, I hate this part of my body. We think that when we do that, we're going to be different, even like new nose or whatever. But in the end, after the surgery happens and we change all these things, the mind is still there with the exact same problems as before. And we might find something else, which I think happens with a lot of people that have surgery after surgery after surgery after surgery, and they can't stop. Because they're never happy. Like this guy, they like tattoos. I mean, nothing against tattoos. I don't really care, but not my type of stuff, and I don't like pain. But he started with one, and in the end, the whole body was covered. And then he started to cut off his tongue. Then he cut off his nose. Then he's got horns. And
I know who you're talking about. Yeah, I do know this person.
yeah, and he looks like a terrible monster. You will have a heart attack if you see him. And I was like, when are you going to stop? And possibly this could be a case of dysmorphia when you can't really tell anymore. And if you look at him before, he was a really good-looking guy, really good-looking. And so I think it's like a widespread thing. You want to look like somebody else. The grass is always greener, and I can say this, I mean, England is green, it's raining. It's always greener somewhere else. We think if we look different, it's going to be different. No. It's
And
really not.
Yeah, no, and please do know that I am not at all against plastic surgery or, working on yourself, none of those things. It's about how far you take it. If somebody wants to fix a certain aspect and then the surgery fixed it, they feel comfortable, they move on with their life, it did its job. But if it's, okay, I changed it, but I'm still not happy with it, then that's where it creates the issue, like you're saying, and then you just go into the cycle of, I need more, I need to change more, I need to do all the things that we do to try to fix it and have that need met.
And then in the end, people are going to like us for the body, for the surgeries. But we want people to like us because we have a witty conversation and we're nice people. And so, it's really about not feeling ever enough, isn't it?
It truly, truly is. And that's the part that I try to convey to my clients that, I remember when I was younger, and of course, we always have these movie stars or these people that you might even know in real life that you're like, this is the type of body that I would love to have. You strive for that. And so even then, and even now, when I would look at somebody, it wasn't that I wanted that body. I just didn't want to care. I remember looking at people that had my body style and that didn't care, where it was just like they're walking into bars, into social situations, and they don't have that hold. I wanted that, because even if you have the body, but you still have those thoughts, you're still imprisoned. And so, and so what I wanted is, let me liberate myself from that. So no matter what it looked like, I'm happy with myself. Not, I look perfect, like, the supermodel or whatever I felt that I needed to look like, but I'm still trapped in those feelings. So,
I wonder if Michael Jackson had that.
Could. It seemed to definitely be with the skin. I don't know.
He wanted to be white. He wanted to have a small nose. He was such a cute guy, and he kept having surgery after surgery. And I was like, why? What is the push that made him want to be different? Well, he was so unique and so beautiful. And who knows how many very big celebrities that we have that are continuously changing everything. And maybe because we are becoming familiar, everyone goes to a cosmetic surgeon. And as you said, one thing is okay, but if you start being under the knife, and every time you go and have general anesthetic, you are risking your life more and more, because the more anesthetic you have, the more you risk to have a heart attack and die on the operating table. So it is quite dangerous as well to keep going under the knife for reasons that are not quite good. So I'm very concerned. But so I'm so thankful that you came over, Alex, to talk about this very, very important topic, because we all want to look good. There is no doubt. And if there is surgery on the line for some people, let's have a surgery. That's fine. But when it's taken to the extreme, you spend the entire day just worrying about your looks, or even think you're not good enough, then there is a time to draw the line and say, wow, maybe I need to have some conversational hypnosis or NLP or whatever therapy, RTT. So please, people, everyone, if you have any questions and you want to maybe talk to us, me or Alex, you know where to find us. There are links, there are websites, and you can send us a message. Where can we find you to find out about treatment for this BDD?
Yes, absolutely. So I do have my own website. I'll definitely send the link. I'm on Facebook, I'm on TikTok, I'm on Instagram, just putting out information. I share a lot of information on how to cope with the symptoms, and also share awareness that this is something that you can relieve and release from, that it doesn't have to be making the physical changes. So yeah. If you're more
Excellent.
than welcome, or if you have any questions, want to work one-on-one, we can definitely schedule a free consultation.
Fantastic. And we're going to put all the links below when we probably I can say that look below for the links because this is on video today. So, but for those who've been listening to the podcast, look below the description under the hashtag and there will be all the links. So thank you so much for being with us, Alex. And thank you everyone for listening to us. This has been a 49-minute long episode. That's quite long for me, but it was worth it. And I hope that you will like to share these episodes and maybe write a review or subscribe to our channels so that we can raise more awareness of all the things that we can do to help to create the life that we really want, which has got nothing to do with having lots and lots of surgery and a lot more about discovering the inner health and balance. So thank you, everyone, and take care. Bye-bye.